Thanks for having us and welcome to what could be the geekiest panel at South by Southwest. And I'm going to kick it off with the question that is the title of this panel, and then we will end up going in all sorts of different directions from there. But first I thought I'd ask Alonzo to sort of weigh in on the question, will tomorrow's world still need designers?
So I would first answer that with absolutely yes.
One claim that can certainly be made is that the number of designers in the world has completely exploded. Alonzo and I were talking about this. There are so many more amateur designers out there now because you guys, professional designers, have made it possible for them to do all kinds of things they were never capable of doing before.
Yeah, and to build on that, I think the way out for designers in a world where design is becoming both increasingly popularized but also commodified, is to actually look for higher level opportunities of design. So the way that I kind of restate what Alonzo was saying is that what we're in the process of doing is really, as designers, creating contours for other designers to create within. So problem out and create those systems that allow for that demand to be modeled better.
I mean, it's interesting. The notion of amateur versus, I'll call it, expert designer is really an anti-postmodern sentiment, right? I mean, like in a world that is increasingly flat, those notions of expert versus amateur actually go away. So like in a long-tail world where there's an infinite number of preferences that cater to millions or billions of different individual preferences, that notion of amateur versus expert, I think, on some level becomes rendered useless. What it means to be a designer in terms of professional versus amateur, whether you're actually being paid for it or not, I think again, it's kind of like it's flattened, right? And so just because you do design for a paycheck does not make you any better of a designer because you're doing design out of for reputation.
Sure, and I think one thing, just to step back for a second, is to look at the definition of design when you're talking about this. And to David's point, design has evolved itself within the 20th century and in the beginning of the 21st century. And I think it's so interesting now that we have these tools, and now that designers have these tools available to them, to remember that this has been going on for a while.
Yeah, I think that designers of the future are going to be more hybrid humans. They're going to be more the types of folks who can toggle back and forth between analogic versus logical thinking. The types of folks who can dip in and create a great solution, but also validate that against some type of business plan. The types of folks who can actually go out and do some type of social research and understand, come up with insights about people, about what's important to them, what do they find meaningful in their lives, and translate those into viable business solutions. I think it's that kind of thinking, that multidisciplinary type of approach, not multidisciplinary teams where you have an engineer and a designer and a market researcher. It's the kind of person who's able to kind of posit all these different skill sets and experiences in their brain.